Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. This is the JRPG Report, episode 198. The last few days of 2021 are here. Looking forward to an awesome 2022. And in that light, we are doing our Game of the Year JRPG award bonanza. Well, we don't do awards, really. Just we're going to say what the best JRPG of the year was. We've got a slew of nominations and honorable mentions, and we're going to do that towards the end of the podcast after the news. But as well, we're going to look ahead. Some of the titles that have been confirmed for 2022, and a few that are probable. So we'll go down that list and see kind of what we've got to look forward to coming up in the new year. But first, we do have some stories to talk about. As I mentioned last week, it's a slow news week, and honestly, a perfect time to do our two special topics at the end of the podcast. First up, though, we do have a release date for Relayer. That's the big mech battle space opera that's coming out from Katakawa Games and being published by Clouded Leopard Entertainment. Remember, if you will, originally they wanted to do a worldwide release simultaneously. Then it came out that it was coming out in Japan on February 17th. Well, they said, no, let's go back, and we do want to do this worldwide at the same time, and that day is March the 24th, 2022. Kind of stinks for our Japanese friends, as they are now going to have to wait, along with everybody else, that extra 5 weeks. But it is what it is, and that's what they wanted to do originally. So I'm glad they're able to meet that goal, but it does kind of stink for our Japanese friends. In the West, Relayer will be priced at $59.99 for the standard edition, and there will be a premium digital edition as well, going for $74.99. All versions of the games, including physical editions available in Asia and Japan, will support English and Japanese audio, as well as English, Japanese, Korean, traditional Chinese subtitles, with French, Italian, German, and Spanish planned at a future date and time. At this press release, Katakawa Games, they kind of explained what was going on. They apologized to the Japanese users for any inconvenience this may cause, but announced that they really wanted to do that global release as well. In that premium digital edition, you're going to get the full game. You get the season pass, original soundtrack, Into the Lost Code, and a dynamic theme for PlayStation 4 only. Looks like a pretty cool game. Not my cup of tea, but it does look pretty cool. If you do purchase the PS4 version, it can be upgraded to the PS5 version for free. When upgrading, you can also transfer your data. That's pretty cool. And trophies will also be transferred when you are upgrading. So yeah, it's all very cool stuff. There was a release date trailer in English to go along with this. You can check that out over on our YouTube page. So yeah, coming on March the 24th next year to PS4 and PS5. There was also, did I put this over there? I think so. Honestly, I can't even remember I put this over there, but for sure you can get the link in our on our Facebook or our Twitter page that there was a 4-minute gameplay video that kind of showed off an ice planet. Now, this was the Japanese build, so I don't always put those on YouTube, which was kind of why I'm scrambling to try to remember if I put that out over there or not. But at the very least, you can check the link on that. Another trailer I did not put on the YouTube channel, but That's because, again, it is in Japanese only. So, not Project, but Triangle Strategy released another character and story trailer. And this one introduces Frederica as Frost, the crown princess of the Aes Frost Kingdom. AES Frost Kingdom. The first one was on Roland Glenbrook. Character and story trailers are fantastic, except if they're not in your native language. They don't hold as much weight. And there has been a friend of ours on the YouTube channel did link a translation for that first video. Hopefully there'll be one for this as well. But it's one of those deals like this is going to be a worldwide release on March 4th of 2022. We really need to be getting English trailers to come along with this as well, not just Japanese. There has been a couple people voice concerns that, in particular, after Neo: The World Ends With You, Square Enix kind of didn't pub it maybe as much as people would have wanted to. There are some voices of concern that's going to happen with this title as well. And at least so far, I'm having to agree with that, at least a little bit. In particular, instances like this, that you get a really high quality trailer that looks to explain quite a bit of what's going on. And I can't speak to it because I don't know what is going on. So that is frustrating to say the least. If you were watching this on YouTube or on the on the YouTube version of the podcast, you've been seeing the trailer that's been playing as I've been talking, and yeah, it looks like a really cool game. We'd like to learn some more about it, but just haven't been able to get that piece of information that we've really been looking for that you can get from a good trailer. But yeah, this game's still coming out on March the 4th of next year, exclusively from the Nintendo Switch. Very promising title, and it will definitely be one that we mention in our upcoming games to look forward to next year. Other Square Enix news. This is a kind of heavy on the Square Enix front this week. Dragon Quest X, the online-only, Japan-only game, offline version of it, called Rise of the Five Tribes Offline, was supposed to come out on February 26th. It has been pushed back in Japan to a summer 2022 release window. It's coming out for PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC via Steam. I think I read that this summer is the 10-year anniversary of Dragon Quest X. Yeah, that makes sense. So, in a way, it does kind of make sense for this to come out around the anniversary of it. It could also just give a glimmer more of hope to that this game is coming out worldwide. Still absolutely no confirmation, anything of the sorts that this game is coming outside Japan. But yeah, maybe there's a bit of hope somewhere still yet this is coming out. But yeah, if our Japanese friends have been looking forward to this one, again, another game they're going to have to wait a little bit longer to actually play. This was an interesting story. Final Fantasy Tactics director and writer, also the director, designer, producer, and writer for Vagrant Story, Yasumi Matsuno, is reportedly working on a game. At least he is writing the scenario for another game. This comes from Final Fantasy series creator my Japanese pronunciation is not very good today. Hironobu Sakaguchi. We're going to get into this a little bit here in just a moment. How, if you recall, I think last year, I know we did it, maybe the year before, they interview a bunch of game developers in Japan and kind of ask them what they were looking forward to. He said, let's see, quote, I don't know the exact quote, but he did say he was looking forward to what he was working on. And they heard it was working on a new game. Now, it's been a little while since we've heard anything from Matsuno. Of course, he left Square Enix in 2005. He was acting as the creator on the Final Fantasy Tactics series, as well as Vagrant Story. He wrote the original concept for FF12, but then left. Reportedly, Sakaguchi never played Final Fantasy XII, kind of in protest to that. There's some sort of weird story that goes along with that. Matsuno briefly worked at level 5. He was working on Unsung Story last year in 2020. Now, notably, he also wrote the scenarios for both the Return to Ivalice and Save the Queen side stories in Final Fantasy XIV. So, could be he's working on something again for 14. Could be something completely new that we don't know of. But yeah, if you are a fan of FF Tactics and Vagrant Story, and his work obviously on Final Fantasy XIV, this is probably some news that you'd like to hear a little more about. And as soon as I hear something, I will let you know. One final bit of FF16 news, well, I guess one final bit of Square Enix news, then we'll move on, and that is about Final Fantasy XVI. Previously, it was reported from Naoki Ishida that there would be an update sometime before the end of 2021 on the game. And if you're looking at your calendar, it is 2 days away. And again, they're not going to make that window. So he kind of came out with a press conference or a news release, something like that, and said, okay, well, here's the full message. He says, when we last spoke, I promised to have more information on FF16 sometime later in 2021. However, I regret to inform you that I was unable to keep that promise, as complications stemming from the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic have delayed the game's development by almost half a year. Not good, but it's kind of the way they've all... we saw delays of at least half a year, if not a year, on most titles. So, as the latest addition to the Final Fantasy series being developed for PS5, FF16 has amassed a sizable team composed of talented creators from around the world. However, in an effort to offset the effects of COVID-19, we've had to decentralize that workforce by permitting staff to tackle their assignments from home. This has unfortunately hampered communication from the Tokyo office, which in turn has led to delays, or in extreme cases, cancellation of asset deliveries from our outsourced partners. But technical reasons for what we all have learned to expect. Yeah, so basically, he says, so that leaves the question, when can we expect the next round of information? He said, I am happy to announce the current plan is to conduct our next big reveal in spring of 2022 as we seek to build excitement leading up to the game's eventual release. Of course, he apologizes and thanks for the patience. So the next big reveal coming in the spring. Be nice to see a status report on the game. I kind of feel like when we see it again, it is either going to solidify my concerns for the game, moving in a much more action, almost Devil May Cry direction, or those fears will have been overblown and it looks something more like Final Fantasy that we have known and loved over the years. At this point, I just want to know which one it is, so I know to get on the bandwagon or off of it. And you kind of hate to be that way with a series as beloved as Final Fantasy is, but that is exactly where we're at right now with this series, and we have the proof in 15 to know direction that it's went, and we'll see where it goes in the future. But yeah, as soon as something pops up in the spring, I'll bring that information to you. And I'm assuming there's going to be a trailer, so you'll want to check out our JRPG Report YouTube page in order to see exactly how it's looking. That's all the Square Enix stuff I have for this week. I thought this was a really, really cool. It's not a story, but a an article on the Facebook page for Fantasy Anime. Never heard of it before, but it was shared in a group that I follow. And so these are the top 10 PlayStation 1 RPGs according to Google searches. So not a poll, not anything informal, just pure data across all boards. So it's not just going to be about the game. Could be people looking for images. Could be, in the case of one of these things, one of these titles on here, not related to the game necessarily, but at number one, you might have guessed this, especially if you're lumping in subsequent releases, is Final Fantasy VII. Not surprising at all with Remake. It's probably going to be thrown in there as well. Number two, and that's why I put the air quotes up if you're seeing the video for it, is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. A fantastic game with RPG qualities. Sure, certainly not a JRPG by any stretch of the imagination. Number three, and why I preface that with it doesn't necessarily involve just games, is Vagrant Story. Might not have been what you would have guessed there. And somebody pointed out that perhaps the reason why that is so high is there was a Japan released book for the game that was extremely popular, so probably helped bump it up quite a bit. At number 4 is Chrono Cross. Number 5, Final Fantasy IX, followed by FF8 at number 6. Number 7 is Xenogears. Number 8, Legend of Dragoon. Number 9, Final Fantasy Tactics. And number 10 is Parasite Eve. That's a pretty heavy list. Most of those is exactly what you would envision when you think of JRPGs on the PlayStation 1. But it was just kind of cool to see, like just that pure data, right? And yeah, FF7's popular. No real surprise there, but yeah, it's just cool to kind of see and look back on some of those games of yesteryear. Atlas, they've been in the news here and there, mostly with their Persona 25th anniversary, but in an interview with Famitsu, Shinjiro Takada of Atlas's first creative development department shared that the developer would like to release a new game in 2022. As we would all like to see a new game from Atlas in 2022. However, Takada went into detail, revealing that the new game Atlas plans to release could have the potential to become a pillar for the company. He continued. He mentioned that the development team is currently hard at work on the title. Alice's Katsuro Hashino offered up an update on Project Refantasy in the same piece. Takada's quote is saying, "I chose the word challenge as the key word for 2022 with the hope that we will be able to release a game that could potentially become a pillar for Atlas. The staff are currently working hard to develop a game that will be interesting and enjoyable to everyone." Additionally, Hashino revealed new details regarding the development of Project Refantasy. He stated that while the development of the game has taken some unexpected twists and turns, the development of the title has reached its peak. For now, the team is working hard on development of the game. So, what does all that mean? We have speculated for many years on Project Refantasy and what it is. As we've stated before, Atlas is 3 main development teams: Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, and Project Refantasy. We know it's not a new Shin Megami Tensei title. 5 was just out. Pretty sure it's not Persona 6. Could it be an offshoot? Perhaps, but with the words pillar for the company, it almost sounds like that could mean a new IP, which would be Project Refantasy. Now, we have seen precious little outside some images for this game. So, the idea that all of a sudden, without seeing the game in action at all, that we're going to get the game come out in 2022 sounds a bit far-fetched, but I'm hopeful. I've been very intrigued on what this game could be. Atlas has a proven track record of delivering some outstanding content, so fingers crossed that it does. We're going to talk a little more about 2022. I've said this before. I feel like it's kind of a down year as far as projected releases, as far as JRPG goes. Now, outside of JRPGs, I think it's going to be a really big year. I just think that this is kind of a down one. And at the end, we'll talk about the games that came out this year. And then the ones that are supposed to come out next year. And you're going to see, at least in my opinion, well, I didn't mean to bump the mic there. There seems to be, there's not a balance to the force. This one definitely seems to be a little more this year. But maybe a game like this coming out of seemingly nowhere could help balance the skills just a little bit. But we'll wait and see. As soon as I hear something, of course, I will let you know. In other Atlas sort of news, not really, but it was revealed today, PlayStation Plus. They give out 3 free games every month. Rarely do they toss a JRPG out there, but they are this month. As you recall, they did FF7 Remake, I think last summer, something like that. In January, you can pick up Persona 5 Strikers. I didn't love the game. I love the story. I didn't love the gameplay, but you're paying for PS Plus anyway, and a free game like that, outstanding. Definitely continues the story of Persona 5. So if you have not experienced that, there's a perfect time to pick that game up and enjoy it. Also, you're getting Deep Rock Galactic and Dirt 5, but we really don't talk about other games other than our beloved genre. But yeah, it's definitely, I don't mention PlayStation Plus very often. It seems like I mention Game Pass a lot more. Of course, there's a lot more releases on that each and every month for Xbox. This is only 3 for Plus. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. This was just a ridiculous story. You all know me and my love for the Atelier series, in particular for Miss Riza. There's limits though, and this might be it. Koei Tecmo released a life-size Atelier Riza standee or wall sticker. Yeah, consumers will be able to obtain these of either Riza or Lala. Pre-orders are available immediately and will remain open for just another week. So if you're wanting to get on this, you gotta hurry. Follow the links in the article if you'd like to do that. International shipping is available. There you go. The life-size wall sticker. You guys might have some big wall stickers. You can't see it on our videos, but over on my other wall, I have a, not life-size, but a giant sticker of Mario and Yoshi. My daughter got that for me, and it's beloved, of course. It was not quite this expensive. This laptop, both stickers are going for $191 each. If you want a standee, it'll cost you $287. Whew, that's a lot of money for a questionable item to begin with. That is a lot of cash. Now they did say that items will ship when they are ordered, and there's no limit. So if you've got tons of money to burn and want a bunch of these standees and stickers, you are free to do so. Go right ahead. Yeah, there's some interesting items out there for JRPGs, that's for sure. This is near the top of the list, I gotta say. But yeah, one final thing to get into before we look ahead. Actually, you know what? Let's pause right there and we'll be right back with the end of the podcast. Famitsu usually puts out a article at the end of the year looking ahead to the next year. They interviewed 127 creators, and several tease some new ambitions and titles to come next year. We'll kind of just go through it. We kind of talked about Mr. Takata from Atlas. He said he chose the word challenge as a key word and hoped to release a title to the world that will become the pillar for Atlas. He'd be happy if we could all look forward to it. There was also said with Shin Megami Tensei 5 finally released, they're taking a breath of relief. Although we hope to announce something this year too, so please stay tuned. Thought that was really, really cool. Hashinero said last year, 2021, various Atlas titles were released. Finally, we're nearing a time when Atlas can start to release a completely different title. Project Re Fantasy, the title I'm leading that we announced we were starting up a few years ago, has reached an important phase after some ups and downs. So I'd like to stay focused and work as a team to get it down to form. It will be an important year for us to get started on things coming further ahead. Pretty cool. Very, very cool stuff. He said, we're not at a point where I can say anything concrete yet, but various things are being prepared. Please look forward for them. Nato Hiroko said, as for future Atlas titles, we receive all sorts of requests from everyone, which we're always using as a reference. I hope you can look forward to what's to come. I hope they are listening when people say, please put Persona 4 Golden on PS4 and Switch. It is ridiculous that it's only on PC. I don't know if he's getting that message. Or not. Let me just scroll down here. There's obviously plenty of messages outside of the world of JRPGs, but yeah, that's one of them. Square Enix. Toyoto Asano said, first off, Triangle Strategy will release on March 4th. Other new titles are also in development, so please look forward to them. Akitoshi Kawazu says, I've been making preparations for a long time, and I want 2022 to be a year that it takes form. Yashinori Katase says, I'd like to take extra care of many popular series, including Final Fantasy, Saga, Star Ocean, and Chocobo. We'll see what comes about from that. Toshihiro Kondo of Nihon Falcom says, the sequel to Legend of Heroes, Chrono Koseki, is in development. It will touch on a great mystery that has appeared throughout the series. Interesting. Various developments are also being prepared for the Yi series, which will celebrate its 35th anniversary next year. Incredible. I didn't think it would... Honestly, I didn't think it had been around that long. I really didn't. That's a long, long time for a game to be out that long. Here's a... Kawaza also says, we're playing various things that Saga fans will enjoy next year. Please look forward to them. This is interesting. Yasunori Katase, in his ambitions for 2022, the world of Final Fantasy VII restarted with Remake will expand more and more in 2022. What does that mean? First off, the RPG Royal blah 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 First Soldier is currently in service. Please enjoy the battle. Let's not focus on that. Remake will expand more and more in 2022. What does that mean, sir? I didn't think there was another DLC coming. Does that possibly mean Remake Part 2 is further along than we thought? One can only hope. We've not seen, outside of the new images and video at the end of Integrate, we've not seen anything even hinting at Remake Part 2 coming out fairly soon, but that would sure be awful nice. Takahashi says, first off, please look forward to Bravely Default, Brilliant Lights, and Triangle Strategy, which are coming soon. Other than that, there are various announcements we'll be able to make in this year, so please keep your ears open. And I think that's that's all of it. Some good little tidbits in there. These things usually don't mean a whole lot. They're kind of just like, hey, what do you want to do this year? I would like to release video games. Yeah, that is a good point, sir. Thank you very much. So anyway, let's go on to game, little drum roll there. JRPG of the year for 2021. There were some very heavy hitters this year. Let's just go down the list of honorable mentions. The Legend of Mana remake. Very nice. Caligula Effect 2. Christ Tales. This one probably would have been more in consideration if it hadn't been for how late it was released and the fact that people really couldn't play it because of congestion. But Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker, from all things I've heard, probably should at least been nominated, but couldn't really be thrown in there just for many things. Neo: The World Ends With You, Monster Hunter Stories 2, Nier Replicant, and an honorable mention, I believe, is deserved for Final Fantasy Remake Integrate. Well, obviously the exact same game, various enhancements, plus the intermission DLC, it deserves a nod of the cap for all the things that they did for free. You know, you bought the game, you get the enhanced version free. Obviously, the DLC was $20, but although short, very, very high quality stuff. So here's my short list of actual nominees for Game of the Year. Atelier Ryza 2, Bravely Default 2, Ys 9 Monstrum Nox, Scarlet Nexus, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Yakuza Like a Dragon, and Tales of Arise. Now, I have not played all these games. I don't have the budget nor the time to play all these games. I wish I did. If it was my full-time job, you best believe I'd have played every game on this list. But life, it happens. So I went back and forth on this a couple times. I've only just started Bravely Default 2, so I couldn't possibly say that was it. And although I loved Atelier Ryza 2 to death, it was a great game in terms of a technical achievement, and me and Jordan kind of elaborated on this a little bit more, and you'll get to hear a little bit more of our conversation on the podcast on Sunday, the big spoiler cast for Tales of Arise. Game of the Year, it kind of has to be Tales of Arise. Although I had issues with the game itself and more in what Tales was as opposed to what Tales is now, overall the game is a marvelous achievement. So many people love this game. They couldn't stop playing it. And like I said, my gripes were, in reality, they were minor. They were nitpicking. Little details that I just didn't care for. Does not take away from how incredible the game really is. And you kind of step back from it after it's all said and done and reflect on it. It is deserving Game of the Year. Absolutely. So congratulations to all the fine folks at Bandai Namco for creating a great experience. And I'm very hopeful for what the series has tried to make itself a little fresher, make some changes. Changes are not easy to make. There are people like me who stand in the way of necessary changes. So congrats to them for what they achieved with everything that went on with the pandemic and all the challenges that it presented as well. A very high quality product. So you just heard that list of nominees. There were others. There were other games that didn't get mentioned, but those were the big ones. Let's look ahead to 2022. This is confirmed first, and in order. The first one's in January. There's only a couple. Demon Gaze Extra, which is basically a re-release. Pokemon Legends Arceus. Looks to be a very fine game to start the year off with. In February, Magnum Lord. We have the console release of Edge of Eternity, Monarch, Atelier Sophie 2, and the Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster that we talked about last week that I'm looking forward to, for sure. In March, The Cruel King and the Great Hero, Triangle Strategy, Rune Factory 5, and Relayer. That's what we know for certain to the month. There's a few of these. We just talked about Relayer coming out on the 24th and Triangle Strategy on the 24th, Relayer on the 4th for Triangle Strategy. Some of those have firm releases. At least they have release windows. The rest of these games do not have a release dates, but have been at least confirmed for next year. Digimon Survive, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Mario and Rabbids, The Spark of Hope, Monster Hunter Rise, the expansion of Sunbreak, the Prinny Presents NIS Classics Volume 2, Sea of Stars, Star Ocean Divine Force, and The Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero. Not a bad list. However, they don't have a release date yet. It's supposed to come out this year. They could get pushed back. I do believe Relink is going to make it out this year. I think Mario and Rabbids is going to make a Digimon. I can absolutely see Star Ocean getting pushed back, as it was just announced. They could run into issues. I hope it doesn't. Trails from Zero is an old game, like it or not, but I'm still greatly looking forward to it. Of course, the maybes, and I'd put a low percentage on one of these, but I think it's a fairly good bet that we get Sacrifier, and I think it's a pretty half decent bet that we get Dragon Quest III, the 2D HD remaster. I give it a fraction of a percent that we get Final Fantasy XVI or Remake Part 2. Those would be very, very, very big maybes. But, it's not a bad list of games to look forward to next year. Not at all. There are certainly some gems in there that I am looking forward to. But I think we had a pretty good year in 2021. I think some of these were pushed back. I mean, obviously something like Tales of Arise was supposed to come out in 2020. It got pushed back a year. There was plenty of these that got pushed back to make this past year a little more congested, a little harder on the wallet. With these games being the length that they are, it's hard to purchase all the games that you'd really want to. And even once you do, sometimes they go right in the backlog. I mentioned I just started Bravely Default 2. I've also got Yakuza Like a Dragon sitting right there behind me. The PS5 version, no less. I haven't had a chance to really get into it yet. But maybe, and I've just speaking personally, maybe 2022 is the year of the backlog. Would that be such a bad thing? Save a few bucks, play through the backlog. Obviously, there's a few on here. If I'm looking at games that I can't do without, the really Star Ocean I really, really want, and Sea of Stars, as well as Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I feel like I'd like to play Edge of Eternity. I really would. I'd really like to play the Pixel Remaster, but I've got the game. I don't need another version of it, although it is going to be the cheapest one of all those. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'd love in the comments below, do you agree with Game of the Year? Do you think it should be something else? And what's your most, I was going to say is some bad English, but what title are you looking forward to most that is supposed to come out next year? Did I miss one? Is there something that's coming out next year that I failed to mention? Comment below. Let me know. I'd love to hear it. Follow us on our social media channels. Like us on Facebook. And follow us on Twitter for all the stories that we talk about each and every week. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. And if you love what we're doing here, financial support is available through Patreon. We would gladly accept your monthly donations each and every month. Just search for JRPG Report. Or if you'd like to make a one-time donation, the link is below. JamesFisherProductions@gmail.com. You can do that on PayPal. I would gladly accept that as well. Hope you guys have an awesome New Year celebrations. Whatever you're planning to do, be safe, have fun, and look forward to our Sunday special. Me and Jordan recorded it yesterday, so I know you got something fun to look forward to. On Sunday, our big Tales of Arise spoiler cast. First half is fine. You're not going to get anything spoiled. If you've not beaten the game, you can listen to the first half. We take a hard break. You'll know it. You can tune out then, but don't not listen to it just because you haven't beat the game or played it yet. We just general at first, and then the second half, everything's off the table. You can talk about whatever you want. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. We will check you guys next year in 2022. Until then, get back out there and level up.